son, where'd you find this?
Buckle up, buttercups. It's time to get down to business. Oh, yeah. It's the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. Totally legit.
All right, folks, here we are. It's the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. And today we're joined by stunt boy, nay, stunt man, Will Bennett, longtime friend and movie industry professional, stunt professional. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Really stoked to be here.
Well, this is really fun because I've always loved watching you do this, but I've never gotten to like really sit down and pick apart like how you get into doing it. And I know there's at least for stunts, there are trajectories for people who want to pursue that. You can go to schools all over the country to specialize and focus on different things. And a lot of stunt performers end up finding their way to a niche and just kind of being the guy there. But I mean, how do you get into stunts? Because stunts came before flames, right? That was like an evolution.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, as far as my origin story goes, you were there for some early parts of it as a fellow theater kid.
And you did have body acting mastered even then. You were an adept even then. Right.
So yeah, you know, really started as, you know, a theater kid, went through high school, college, all that, an acting program, and had always, you know, also played sports, was an athlete too. So finding that crossover of that creative and the physical was always like,
the end goal.
How can I do this? How can I figure this out? And so found stage combat, so sword fighting, things like that, but still in the realm of live theater, live shows. And it was, you know, awesome. Met some really great people, great professors, furthered my training. And then one of my mentors in college, Justin Gamrell, fantastic human being, went out to a stunt school, like one that you had mentioned, out in Seattle. And he, you know, came back and really pushed for me to like, hey man, if you can get out there and do this,
you should go do it.
You should do this. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. You know, so there's a lot of those moments early on, and still really that are, they seem hard or insurmountable, or man, how am I going to afford to, you know, finish school and go out there and do this? But yeah, made it out there and made some more connections here in Chicago, and that's where I'm based. And it just kind of took off from there, so to speak. It really is, you know, about who you know and who you meet and what opportunities you keep yourself open for. That was kind of the trajectory, which is pretty common for a lot of stunt people. Most, I would say more common is, you know, a lot of gymnastics background, a lot of martial arts background.
That makes sense, yeah.
A lot of military background.
Sure.
You know,
sure, there's a lot of crossover training, yeah.
Yeah, these guys know how to hold a gun and
take a role and do all sorts of body stuff. Yeah,
they don't look stupid. So that's been interesting to like kind of interweave with all these different communities and their background. But yeah, the short answer is there is no one correct way or one track. It can be anything. You can
it's whatever you want to make it. Yeah. Yeah, that's super sick. So you went to school at UNL, and for those who don't know, UNL has a pretty exceptional acting program. For a long time, Lincoln, the town that Will and I grew up in, was the host of the International Thespian Convention. So it was really kind of like in the middle of a red state. It was actually a pretty art-forward place. I mean, as kids growing up, definitely we had a lot more access to art than other places I lived before I moved there.
And even music and...
Yeah, dude, all-ages venue. There's so many of my friends I talk to who are like, man, we didn't have an all-ages venue. We didn't have anywhere where we could play. It was like,
Rest in peace, Knickerbockers.
Yeah, seriously, RIP. It's now a hotel. it's not a hotel. But UNL has a pretty exceptional program. But this you can even tell, and like I could tell at least in high school, like who wasn't going to stay there, who was going to go out and like forge their own path elsewhere. And I always knew you were going to do that. I love that you ended up in Chicago, because personally, Chicago is one of my favorite cities. Architecturally, it is my favorite city. Yeah. And so few people, and like in Nebraska, like it's right there. It's like it's a really good alternative to Omaha, and so much more opportunity. So I was really stoked to see you go there, and again, really kind of thrive. So you get some stunt training. At what point does it evolve into, I want to get lit on fire?
So yeah, that bug got lit pretty early on, so to speak. The school I went to out in Seattle, it was kind of a crash course. These puns just keep flying out of me.
Yeah, right.
It was like a month-long intensive, kind of giving you a taste of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, this is fighting, this is falling, this is driving, and then we did a day of fire burns. So that was the first time I actually got lit on fire. And more so than burning, like being the performer, all of the prep, all of the work, all of the safety aspect of it on the other side, like that's where the real work is.
Yeah, sure.
And we call it the pit in our company. Is you're in the prep pit and you're soaking these layers. You're making sure performers are in a good mindset before they're going out to the pad, and you're helping them with whatever they need. So it's really team based, which I love. And the flip side of the burn is that safety aspect. So it's that, that knowledge and pressure of like, they are depending on you to put them out. And that level of focus and heighten, that's far greater anxiety.
It's much more serious.
Than even being the person on fire. So while the burner is usually the one that, gets the accolades and this and that, I really fell, it got infatuated with the whole process and the work behind the scenes. Despite my theater background, I personally never felt like a in front of the camera limelight kind of guy. And the way my journey through stunts has kind of introduced me to a lot of people that think similarly, that it's, if we're doing our job right, you don't know we're there.
Right.
Like, it's like a good sound designer or a good lighting designer.
Yeah, no, sure.
You don't notice it. So yeah, that was the Firebug spark. And then coming to Chicago, it was, years even before I was able to get back to it. And it was the actual my first instructor at stunt school was the one that was based here, and he just kept just burning stuff and testing stuff. He's a mad scientist, so to speak. He's a super smart guy, Greg Poljacek. He just basically kept with it, and then started doing these workshops. And was like, oh yeah, here's an opportunity, and we jumped on it. So then me and two other folks, Breck Robinson and Danny Stahl, we kind of just kept coming around, hanging around, like, hey Greg, do you need help? Do you need anything? And we just kind of sort of never left them alone.
Hey, that works a lot of the time.
But in a way that acknowledged, like, we're not trying to get something out of you. We're we want to keep doing this too.
We're genuinely interested. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really cool. Like he, opened up a lot of stuff, opportunities for us. And we eventually were just like, you know what, we're getting this down so solid. Like let's make a team. No one else is doing it. And we kind of developed this workshop process that, we kind of help train other stunt performers to get them reps. It's one of the hardest things to train in. You don't have opportunities. It's, the risk is so high. The people that are already doing it in the industry, it's gate kept for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous.
Literally life and death shit. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to and it's not for any ego reason. It's like, you don't want to just go say, hey, here's what we do. Go try it. It's been years of progression and growth and testing and testing and testing and testing. And just working together and building that trust. That's the main component for anything in our industry is that trust. You have to trust the person next to you is going to put you out, or you have to trust the person next to you is going to, stop that car at the right spot, hit their mark, and not run into a crowd of you.
Yeah, ram right into you. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a journey for sure. But yeah, it started quite a while ago.
So just break this down. You're going to light someone on fire. Oh, shit. Remix. Yeah. You're going to light somebody on fire. What are the steps and procedures up until them actually being ablaze?
Yeah. So I'll just keep using our workshop setting as an example, just because we've been able to make it pretty streamlined, and more importantly, repeatable and consistent. So essentially, the way we do it with other stunt performers is we send them out emails, obviously weeks in advance, giving them a plethora of information that they need for the day. So on the day is what we call, when we're actually going to do the action. So we tell them, what layers to get, what kind of burn they will be doing based off their experience. So, we always start everyone off really basic, just a forearm, and then based off that, we'll do their other forearm, but that's it for the first one.
Yeah.
As they keep burning with us or with other people, it's not just with us, but as their experience level, bumps up, we'll move to different fuel patterns on their back and grow the flame basically for them. But essentially, we want them to understand our process and what goes into the prep process. So that's step one is the prep. So we make our own safety gel that we essentially soak multiple of their bottom layers, under layers in, and it's not anything that's super secretive or crazy. It's just another one of those things that we're we make our own gel, and then we leave it at that.
Yeah, it's like a boutique, it's like an IPA.
Well, yeah, and it's we've had instances in the past where overeager green performers are what is that made out of? I want to take it and do it. And it's you could try that, but kind of not great. So anyway, we're on the day, we're there, we check all their layers to make sure they're adequate, made out of adequate materials. Our team always likes to just burn 100% cotton, natural fiber, any natural fiber. Is good.
Yeah. No synthetics. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the way. Yeah, synthetics start melt down and enclose and trap that heat on the body. So we want it to flake away and disperse that heat. So we check them in, sign their waivers, everything, start soaking their layers. And and right away, right from the get, we want the participants to be involved. So like, come here, we'll show you how to start incorporating the gel into all your layers. And so then we have some of our own team gear as well as protective layers. So we always over prep for what we're burning in these scenarios. So they'll have their own 2 wet layers. We have other sleeves and gloves that will soak. Dry layer on top of that. And then their final layer. They end up, once they get all dressed, we dress them all up. And when it's their turn, they end up being like a little kid, when you try to put on all of the t-shirts you own. Or Ralphie. So,
can't put my arms down.
Exactly. Randy, not Ralphie. Yeah.
Close enough.
But so it's a lesson also in, understanding that you're layering these clothes. So thinking about sizing up your clothes. Like you don't want your final burn layer jacket to be extra small or something. So it impedes the movement, things like that. So we get them prepped up. Boom, boom, boom. And we have Nomex, fabric called Nomex, and Carbonex are 2 basically flame retardant materials. They're used anywhere from, firefighters will have them, race car drivers, pilots.
They're like hair caps, like head, face.
They're like actually, I have one. I have a few. I just came back from a burn in Texas actually last weekend with a bunch of Navy SEALs and military guys doing crazy demo. But basically, they're like hoods, like
balaclava. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, baklavas. Yeah.
Right, balaclavas. And then these other layers of, it's essentially just specialized materials, specialized flame retardant materials that we also have. And as a professional, if you're really serious about getting into doing burns and being on a team, that just goes into your gear kit. Like that's just something you build up slowly. So they're all dressed. Everything's good. Any exposed skin. So we used to, back in the day, for our workshops, just do naked burns. So we would just cover, not all naked, but
yeah, but still, no flame retardant anything, just right on top of the skin.
No layers. But we would cover it in gel and then just drip the fuel on top of that and just like that. So it's still a solid water barrier around.
Sure.
But yeah, it's grown since then. But basically, any exposed parts. So we even go through gel up the face.
Up the nose. Yeah, sure.
Plug the ears. Any orifice, we cover the eyes, and we just rip enough away that you can still see. But essentially, we can protect everything on the outside. We can't protect anything on the inside. So we always tell people to hold their breath, especially if they're new. As you get more experience in it, you can find ways to actually scream and breathe, find pockets of clean air to sit in. But to start out, we just tell people, hold your breath. We never burn anyone longer than 20 seconds, 15 seconds. The way we prep them, they, in theory, could probably be on fire for up to a minute.
Yeah.
And not feel it. But it's just layers and layers of redundancy and safety, just to make sure that we can guarantee you will not die. Now, in the last, we've created this team probably as a company. We've been together for 3 years, but we've been burning together for about 7 years now. And in that 7 years of workshops, we've burned over 1,000 people.
Sick.
Zero serious injuries. The worst thing has, been maybe a couple of what we call lists. So
flame comes
across, and if you're not used to it, you freak out, which is normal. That's what any
Right.
human
You're
brain
literally
will do.
on fire. Yeah, exactly.
You're on fire. It's not normal. Yeah. So that's another reason why we start people when we prep them up, get them to the pad. If they're new, we start them with the arm because they're without fail every time, just boom, all they're doing is staring at it, just because it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like they can't disconnect that lizard brain quite yet.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a retraining mechanism of like, this is wrong. Wait, okay. I'm okay. All right, I'm okay. I can move. And then it's starting to learn how to manipulate where that fire is going. We can never fully control it,
Sure.
obviously, but we can manipulate the effects of it. So that then goes into the performance of the actual burn.
Like the blocking.
Exactly, the choreography.
Yeah.
So it's, what does the story call for? What does the scene call for? What does, is this a human on fire? Is this a zombie on fire? Are there environment that you have to interact with? Are you self-igniting because you fell into a fire pit? Like, what's the overarching scenario? And then we plan from there, which obviously all is done way before you get to the pad and we're like, all right, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's very much
Pre-production.
with our bigger burners. We give them choreo at the top of the day and say, go fuck off and run your choreo. Get it so it's second nature. Because when you are all prepped up, you can't hear because your ears are clogged.
Ears are clogged. Yep.
You can't see very well in the daytime, and in the nighttime you can't see at all. So you're having to rely on some other senses to be heightened, and trusting that this choreo you've worked, it's the same. You're going to keep it the same. Because once we get into the moment of the burn actually happening, your safety team is set up to, if they see something that's off choreo, they'll fly in and just put you out.
Immediately, yeah.
Yeah, there's just no questions asked, and it's never a bad thing. Because if there's anything that's seen that's off, it's like, nope. You can't hesitate. But at the same time, you don't want to be in that safety position and be so on edge that you're jumping and breaking the shot.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're still trying to catch this for performance in the camera. So how can we do that cleanly? But mostly, how can we do it safely? So then, they go through their burn, and the process right up to the burn. They prep, gelled, they're there. Whoever the fire coordinator is for our workshop will be there to just do final checks and then actually paint them with our fuel that we use, over-the-counter fuel. There's many things that are flammable.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what is the fuel?
We mostly use contact cement, mainly because we have found with varying fabrics, it's the most controllable in terms of, it's still kind of a liquid form.
Yeah.
So we can kind of paint a pattern easier and kind of control where the fire is going to be
igniting.
The hottest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people use, white gas. Some people use diesel fuel. There's all sorts of combinations. So the more liquid fuels, less solid fuels tend to react differently just because they soak into different materials quicker. And through tons of testing, we found what just works best for our purposes. You can get longer burns with it because it stays on top on the surface or the middle. But then you play with different chemicals. We want a green flame. Well, let's get some methanol in there, and it changes the color. It's kind of like a giant science experiment.
That is fucking sick. So, okay. Yeah. Obviously, you're not doing this experimentation during the workshops because the workshops are they're much more. They're to get somebody who
we can. Yeah.
But for most people that show up, they're probably not the most experienced. That's why they're coming to the workshop. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're not using that as an experimenting ground, which is the right thing to do. Where and how do you just go out into a field and do this? Do the cops get called? How does this happen?
For a long time, it was, really just in Greg's backyard.
Yeah.
And he told all his neighbors, and they're just like, okay.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah. Great old kooky Greg lights himself on fire in the backyard again. But then they started to love it, and we, lit his neighbors on fire. And,
That's awesome, dude. You're just winning over the whole neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. It's great. You really have to have a certain riz about you, I guess.
It's very Chicago. Honestly, the more you're talking about it, that makes total sense that his neighbors are like, fucking jag off, I can do that.
Right. And then we have some garage beers. It's great. That's basically the process.
What I mean to say is is it total experimentation, or are you actually doing some kind of science? Do you have to understand the chemical properties of the things you're burning?
Yeah, one day we even, wanted to just test our methods of prep even more extensively, and went through different versions of 1 wet layer, 2 wet layers, 0 wet layers, all dry layers, and then had a temp gun and actually took the temp of each layer as we peeled it off after the fire to see essentially how deep is that heat penetrating to the skin. Because the main goal is to protect the performer. So going through different methods of, how are we prepping them to be the most successful, but where can we know we can adjust if we have to? For instance, basically in the film industry, you never get perfect circumstances.
Yeah.
With fires, you do get a lot more leeway and deference as the fire team. You get a lot of choices in terms of wardrobe and all that kind of stuff.
Stakes are different. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you are not top of the totem pole.
Yeah.
And you have to roll with a lot of punches. And so it's also, for us as a team, these workshops aren't just about training other performers necessarily. That's a big part of it, but it's also getting us as a team getting us as a team to find where our strengths are, find where our weaknesses are, so that when we do get a call for a job, we're like, we're ready to go. We have all the equipment. We know where we're going, what we're doing, and it's been an interesting growth in that respect. Of it's a lot it's a lot to grow, and then to look back on and go, oh, I didn't think it would go this way. Yeah, but it's kind of cool.
Well, that's so much of anyone's experience, especially now. Our generation is managing expectations. And I just find that when you have no expectations, you're always amazed.
Yeah.
That's why I love, especially all of my friends that left Nebraska to pursue art or entertainment. All of them, I don't know. There's just a special type of crazy you have to be to leave your hometown and go do something. But
we say a lot in the stunt world is a big part of the job is getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that what you just said kind of hits that nail on the head. Is staying hometown, Lincoln, that's, you can be comfortable for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right. It's fine. It's a fine place, but I
have friends that have stayed, and it's
they're doing fine. They're doing great. It's a great place to live.
Yeah.
But taking a chance, especially when you we're also lucky that at least younger in life we kind of had an idea of what we wanted to do. You know, like, or not necessarily what we wanted to do, but like, here's the thing I'm passionate about. Let me pursue that. I'm going to pursue that, and wherever it takes me, I'm okay with that. I will just roll with it.
That's it. Yeah, being able to roll with adapting to situations. I mean, that's just an insane skill to have. That when people have it, like I know I have it. When people don't have it, it kind of blows my mind, and I have to like take a step back and go, oh, wait, okay, Will, not everyone has that muscle or that function.
You know, they say like some very high percentage of people don't even have like an internal monologue. Have you heard that?
That's wild.
Yeah,
I have not heard that.
I heard that at some point last year. Like somebody sent me like an actual article about a report, like a scientific report about it. But yeah, not everyone is wired that way, and even you know, I know plenty of people from Nebraska who did try and go out, but they couldn't take it, and they had to go back. And again, completely understandable.
There's no shame in it. There's no, and sometimes too, it's like external factors with family or what have you that it's like, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
This is my life, and I'm gonna live it this way. But it's been really cool to watch you, like, because this is like such a niche thing. It's such a niche thing. But you know, all the people that left and pursued jobs in entertainment, we all ended up in niches. You know, you find the thing you enjoy doing, and you get opportunities you take, and you pass up, you know, but you just end up where you end up. And I don't know. To me, this is just like one of the most insane places to end up. You know what I mean? It's just like such a niche skill. And beyond that, it's like also like hyper valuable information. Like knowing how to put yourself out if you're caught in a fire or on fire, that's really valuable information. Right. So I guess my question for you there is like, have you ever done trainings or has anybody come to the trainings who isn't necessarily pursuing Hollywood shit? They just like to burn stuff and they want to know how to do it safely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love that, dude.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, we definitely, you know, we've always wanted to set it up, and I think we have set it up to obviously be geared towards the stunt industry, because that is what we are in.
Sure, that's mainly who you're serving. Yeah,
that we know. But we have absolutely had firefighters come out and be like, I want to try this, you know, which that one blows my mind. I'm like, you've seen people on fire for real. Like,
that's why they want to try it. That's why they want to try it.
Yeah, they're like, let me see what this is about. What's more interesting though to me is the people that, I guess, when they don't want to do it, like when they're, for instance, this last workshop, it wasn't a workshop. It was actually a charity event down in Texas we did for the SEAL Legacy Foundation, a Navy SEAL charity to Gold Star families and veteran and scholarship programs and stuff. Great organization. But we went down and they do this whole demo basically for all these donors where they have a live, you know, not live fire, but full blank fire weapon systems where they're, you know, rolling up in their Humvees and 50 cals and have a
making noise.
Pyro going off.
Fuck yeah.
The homie has a flamethrower shooting like 50 feet, you know, and so then I just pop out of the back of the Humvee. Greg slaps my face with gel. I'm all prepped up already. Slaps my face with gel. Dumps half a can of fuel on my back. Lights me, kicks me, and says, "Go!" And I come out. You know,
oh my god, dude, that is jacket so burn. Sick.
And these Navy SEALs, the former Navy SEALs, they're in the demo, so they're clocking their stuff, and they see me come out, and they go. Everyone just stops for a couple seconds. And, holy shit, that guy's on fire. And then they go back to their thing. Like, it just, like, the first time you see it, everyone just goes, whoa. But then afterwards, to have them come up and go, you guys are great, professional, you did amazing, you're awesome. I'm sitting here going,
you're the Navy SEAL.
You're the awesome, yeah. But then to have them say like, you guys are insane, I would never do that. I'm like, you do the craziest shit.
Seriously. It's like this. Like, if you only knew, in comparison to what you do, if you only knew how easy this was.
You jump out of perfectly good aircraft on purpose. Yeah. But it was a trip. So to have those people come to the workshop to, hit us up is really awesome. A whole nother world of rewarding too with this that we didn't even expect or think about, is like you said, just being open to those opportunities and being able
showing up and doing showing up and doing good work.
It's wild. But
for me, it's one of those things that's amazing because like it's one of my favorite things in a movie or a show. If out of nowhere and chaos erupts, somebody runs across the screen on fire. That's just, to me, it's like, it's not, it doesn't, that's like, only a few things can take it to that level of extreme. And when I'm always happy when I see that. I feel like it was a little more liberal in the 90s. I feel like there were just more scenes with people who were actually on fire running across the screen, but I still see it now, and I love it. It's go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yes, I agree. The timeline of that growth of, the industry shift of CGI and all that. The 80s and 90s were the golden age of,
and that's what I'm saying,
practical stuff.
That fuck VFX. I want to see a person on fire. It looks so much better. And honestly, like as good as VFX get, you can't mimic that. You can have the best VFX artist. That flame is still going to look like shit. And the reason is fire is alive. It's a living thing. It breathes oxygen. and is historically, it's been difficult for people to capture in any form. Much less making it in a computer. Even filming it has been a learning curve of like when we started out, like, camera settings and what they were, but even figuring out, I have to change the settings on this camera to see the detail of the flame,
but to still see the person. Like, how do you balance that? Okay, is it daytime? Is it nighttime? I do miss a lot of that. One thing that gave me hope, I don't know if you saw it, The Fall Guy.
I have not seen it, but I am aware of it. That is pretty major to have a stuntman movie.
It was one of the closest things to a perfect movie I've seen in a long time. It was fantastic. That what sucks, like, when you get into an industry or get into whatever and you get so deep in it that you start seeing how the sausage is made, it has the propensity to ruin it for you, almost.
Sure does, yeah.
And so many movies and TV shows I watch now, it hurts. Like, it's just like, that just took me out of it, man. It's not that it's a bad stunt, it's that it doesn't serve the story, so it pulls me out of it. I'm like, like, I'll never forget Wolf of Wall Street with Leo, and he's the Quaalude scene, and he's like, I'm not dying sober, all that shit. He crawls outside to his Lambo or whatever, and they do a stair fall down the stairs. It was the worst stair fall I've ever seen in my life, because I just could see that they sped the footage up. I could tell it wasn't him. Like, the double wasn't even closed.
Yeah.
And it just ripped me out of it. I was like, damn it. That was a bummer. It was a good stair fall. It just didn't fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's the gift and the curse once you start seeing how the sausage is made, because then you can't help but look at everything and how it's made. Right. And I mean, honestly, this was funny. I was talking to Courtney about it last night, but I feel like all the streaming services, all the options for content are really lowering the bar across everything. Visual effects, acting, script writing, just because there's such a high demand for volume of content that something has to give. Like they have to cut the corner somewhere. So we're just like hastily putting together as much content as possible to beat the next guy.
Yeah, you hear that that triad of
good, fast, cheap.
It can be cheap, cheap, fast, good. You can pick two, and that's what you sacrifice. So that's, I agree. That's definitely the route of commercial content. I think there's going to be, especially with the SAG strike last year, really got people, not just in the industry, but outside of the industry, to kind of pay attention to what's going on, ingest our content now.
Yeah.
It's, these streaming services were still operating under, new media agreements as if they were, brand new, not making money and just kind of experimental, whatever. No, these are the main studios now.
Yeah.
Like other classic studios are merging and, scrambling because they got to catch up.
Yeah, it is really interesting too. Like the Netflix, Hulu, all of these streaming apps, like they completely redefined the distribution platform. Like there used to be a much more traditional pipeline, and I also think too, just like it's going to be paralysis of choice. Like everyone has had the experience where they're like searching. There's a million fucking things to watch, but you don't want to watch any of them.
You ever go to a paint wall at a hardware store and there's all the paint chips and you're like, I don't know what fucking color.
Exactly the same thing. I'd rather just go home.
I'm gonna leave the wall of how they are.
I don't know where to go from here. Yeah, there's just like so much of that. But I mean, that's also, it's a good thing in the sense that there's more content being made, especially for people who are involved in the back end portion of the production of these things.
It also helps with, I do think this is a good thing, is that it gave access to smaller, independent production companies.
Yeah, 100%.
It gave them a lifeline to distribute without having to go those classic routes. Like studios like A24.
Dude,
like,
their rise in the past 10 years has been ridiculous. Yeah.
And they were one of the only companies during the strike to sign the interim agreement and say,
"Oh wow,
oh yeah, we agree with you. We're on board.
We got you. Yeah, we got you."
Shit. So I have just nothing but respect for companies like that. That is, they still want to keep the idea of filmmaking alive, the craft of it, the art of it, the practicality of it.
I mean, honestly, I am like notoriously hard critic on most shit, but the only good movies.
You?
Yeah, really? Me? Really? The only good movies I gave a shit about in the past 10 years, overwhelmingly A24.
Yeah.
Like they are absolutely top dog. But you're right. The independence, like just opening up the ability. Yes, there might be a ton of bad shit, but if we get even a couple good things out of that, that's still net positive.
Yeah. But I think in general too, like that. Greg and I were having a long conversation about this on the way to burn someone. Talking about the future of the industry, the slow, being able to live through the slowdowns of work, because it's still, it's still slow right now. It's not,
sure.
Things haven't picked up like people thought they would. And everyone keeps saying, oh yeah, it's coming. Oh yeah,
it's coming. Yeah.
Eventually, sure. But I think a lot of people are going to pivot. I think a lot of people are going to cut their losses and just kind of get out of it, which, good or bad, that presents opportunities for other people coming up. And so I think it's a natural cycle, just like any cycle, the water cycle, whatever cycle, that if things age out and, you know, all the old heads go, well, back in the day, you know, I never want to be that guy, but
we're going to be that guy. At some point, we're going to be that guy. That's just, it's the law of nature.
It is.
I will agree with you, though. It was really cool to see there be a whole, like, big advertising push behind a movie about stuntmen.
Yeah.
That was fucking sick. The only, like, the closest thing we've got to that in the recent past is maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where Brad Pitt's character is a stuntman. But that by no means, like, gives honor to the craft of crazy shit that make all the movies that you love to watch.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, too, like, you know, when you're a kid, you watch the movies and you see the action, you're like, that was awesome, I want to do that. And, like, there's a little part of you that, like, knows that stunt people are real, you know? But never in my wildest dreams did I think it was an actual job.
Yeah.
Let alone one that I could do or be doing. So that's always a step back moment of, holy shit, I'm on a plane right now, flying to Seattle to light a bunch of people on fire and then, like, skid cars around a racetrack. Hell yeah.
Sick, dude.
Hey.
Yeah, I really think it's I don't know, man. It's just like such a cool way to find yourself, and also like very few people. A lot of people pursue something, but very few people actually end up doing something that is the marriage of the things that they like. The fact that you get to be involved in acting and the production of like productions of all sizes, and still you like be able to be physical. I mean, I'd say it's like probably a big portion of your job, you know, whether you're lighting or safetying somebody, it's probably, you know, I don't know. It's cool.
I mean, yeah, definitely physically demanding, definitely, you know, everyone thinks of the physical side of it, of like, yes, we have to train like athletes. Do I all the time? No. But yes, it is a high stress physically job. But there's also that other side of it. Like we call ourselves stunt performers. And so that other half of that is the performance. It's does it make sense to the story? Does it, like, you have to be able to act. You have to be able to, you know, selling a punch, like a fake punch, you know. So it's always funny when people are like, oh, stunt guy, you're probably a badass, you kick anyone's ass. Like, no, I'm really good at getting in a fake fight. Like, I can hit everyone all the time. Like,
nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt when I fight them.
Face. Yeah. I get 2 inches from her face every time. But
it's fucking amazing,
it's one of those things that it is a really, really beautiful melding of those worlds. So.
I want to pull up the website now because we've kind of given people an understanding of the background, but seeing it is another thing. So why don't you just tell the folks about what this website is and then direct me around to kind of showcase what's going on here.
So this is our company's website, our burn team. It's called Sweet Spot of the Flame, which you can see the acronym up there, SSOTF. The naming of it, quick naming story, origin story is, Greg was, before we were using respirators to paint our fuel, we were burning 40 people at a time, not at once, but in one workshop.
Batches, yeah.
And so he was just high as balls, and just trying to give like performance notes and going, you just gotta like not too high, not too low, but like right in that, just on that sweet spot of the flame, you know? And so that's how we got named. And I love the acronym so much because I believe that is what a fire extinguisher sounds like when you use it, is a stop. So quick origin there. So yeah, Sweet Spot of the Flame. This is our website where we post our work, stuff about us, but then also information on upcoming workshops and things like that. I'm going to move my screen on my end really quick here, just so I can kind of see where we're at here. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, there's pretty basic, Wix site, but we try to highlight some of the different styles of burns we do. A lot of what we do is at night. This ATV burn you see here,
this one
I'm
right here.
the second guy on the right over there. That's me. We lit a tire on fire, threw it down, and then climbed over this retaining wall and jumped into a crash pad, and then they put us out. But so the whole origin of that burn was a fellow stunt performer and mentor of mine, of all of ours, Aaron Crippen, got a new camera rig for his ATV and wanted to try it out. So like,
amazing.
All right, let's fucking go crazy.
And this is
Anya Crippen on fire first. That's his wife. And then I come into the frame there, and then my buddy Tim Martin, and then we throw a tire down. So we had a tire safety as well. There was, 4 burning elements and probably 10 safeties.
Wow.
Yeah, the Crippens, they're awesome. We do all of our Chicago workshops.
Oh my gosh, you can even see you guys get lit up. That looks so sick. You can see the start of it. Yeah. It's so badass. That's so badass.
This was a GoPro. This actual footage was a GoPro also mounted, so it wasn't the actual camera view, but still. It was really all just for a previs. Yeah, we're walking out.
So fucking badass.
Yeah, that was a wild one. That was a good one.
Whose house is this?
So this is the Crippens. Aaron, who's driving the ATV, and Manya, who was that first burner to go across.
That is amazing.
They've been just massively supportive in our efforts. Letting us burn at their house, letting us, invade their house with 30 people at a time. They're just so supportive and really have built Chicago and Midwest as a stunt community.
Yeah.
LA, New York, all that. It's not the same.
Fucking jackass.
Yeah, fucking jackass. Yeah, go have a beer with them. No, it's really cool what they've done for the community, and we owe a lot to them. But the rest of the website is more examples of that stuff, and just kind of what our goals are and what our methods are, and what we kind of play and experiment with story wise.
That was one of those head coverings,
that was
right?
One of those hoods.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I see it.
Yeah.
You see it on here.
So we're trying to have different tandems, 2 people. I think the most we've done at once has been 4 people at once. So we're trying to get more into that now that we've built a bigger team. We have more bodies that can help safety and prep and stuff. So looking to get into more tandem burns. And then I think there's some compilations of behind the scenes stuff too, of what a workshop is like and things like that. And then training is just what we kind of, this was a guitar.
That's fucking awesome for a music video. That's
sick. Oh, this was for a buddy, Joe Rose. Greg coordinated this one. It was a little bit of.
Oh my god, that's so fucking sick.
A little bit of shredding, flaming shredding, shred the gnar.
Shred the gnar, dude.
Yeah, shred the gnar. You just gotta find the sweet spot of the flame and hit that lip, and then get in the barrel and whoopah, just get pitted.
I love that. That is actually surprisingly LA for Chicago.
This is just kind of examples of the way we build it up. So arms, the back, the full body, things like that.
This is what you would start somebody on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then just based off of how you do with it, we've done it before where we'll do one arm and then okay, we'll paint you a little more because you're moving good. But for the most part, people are like, I've never done this. I don't know. And so you get a lick of heat and you're like, oh shit, that's hot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I got to pay attention here. Yeah.
there's fire. There's just hot. But we still prep them as if we were going to light their whole back. So they're still under the same amount of layers and things like that. And then, we just slowly basically, once they understand the maneuvering and
the basic
if I
mechanics,
move left, the flame's going to go right. It's opposite. Yeah. It's like reverse steering or reverse video game control sometimes. So once they get used to that, we'll just increase the flames on them and get them to just improve their performance. That's the hardest part is you only get those 10 seconds to do it, So it's not like you can go back and go, oh, let me try it again. Well, no, so much goes into one burn.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to ask is like, what's the downtime? Let's say you're filming something on a production and they have time allotted for attempts at capturing the burn, but what's like the typical downtime? Are you rotating people out? Is it the same person, but then there's like 20 minutes in between, they get iced down or what,
Generally speaking, it's like when it's for an actual show or on set, it's never as big of an operation as we have for our workshops. So our workshops, we build the redundancy for the safety factor of, we're also trying to, get more people through in a 4-hour period. So like our workshop will last from maybe 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. total, and we'll burn like 20 people. On set for like an actual production, you might you will have other people with you. You won't just be on your own. You won't be solo. That being said, you won't necessarily have a team to dress you. You will have to do a lot more yourself as the burner, but you will have a fire coordinator. You will have a safety team. You will have a team around you to ensure your success and safety. But for the most part, it's a conversation of, okay, when are we shooting this? Then you build your timeline from the backwards of when you need to start prepping. Because you already know that timeline. You already know that, okay, like, again, going back to this Texas burn, we knew our ready time was 4:30 p.m. Skydivers were coming down at 5, and we had to roll up right when they were done. And so I had to basically be prepped a little longer than usual. I had to sit in the gel a little longer than usual, but we knew that, and that was okay. And so we were able to build that timeline back. We're like, okay, this is what we need to do it. We need a spot to dress, and, we can prep in 15 minutes, and we'll be good to go. And then once we're out there, we need 30 seconds to finish gel and paint him, and that's it. And that's pretty much exactly what ended up happening. So you build your timeline based off the conversation with the director or the producer or whoever, leading the charge there. And then get your team set, and then, camera and safety positions and all that gets coordinated beforehand, so safeties know where they can be, not busting the shot, but can get to the performer quickly. So that's all part of that kind of pre-production talk and rehearsal talk, which doesn't happen a lot in film, but you are very lucky if you do get rehearsal time. But the idea is that you have a team around you that, we know how each other work and we know what we need, and we don't need to take an hour to talk about it. We can roll up and go. So that's kind of the difference of our workshop setting with training. We always say it's training to an actual, you're on the day, you're doing it for a show. That's kind of the mindset we go into it with.
And when like, okay, so let's say you have to do you have to get lit on fire for a scene, but there's multiple takes of that scene. How long do you have to like wait between? Can you just slather on some more gel and do it again? As long as your lungs aren't burning, you know what I mean?
For that, it usually comes down to how's the gel holding up, how is the wardrobe holding up. If you go big on your first light and just torch the shit out of the jacket or whatever it is, well,
you're gonna need another jacket.
Does wardrobe have 7
you're gonna need another jacket.
planning for 7 burns? Sure, but there might be a time where we can do 2, but then we're gonna stop. We got to stop and cool them down. Re-gel some layers, get some cold gel on there, and then suit them back up, and we can go again. But there's definitely considerations of you're not sitting in the same gel and prep material and doing it take after take after take. It's okay. We're gonna call it that you can do 2. Or whatever you did, whatever the team decides on based on their prep process. Sometimes sometimes they'll not do a gel at all, which is like, okay, or more often than not, the fire burn is connected to some other giant practical effect.
Yeah, explosion or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got 1 take, or they got 2 takes.
Yeah, do it right. We got one shot.
And that's the other pressure. It's like, hey, like, I know you're on fire, but like, don't fuck this up because
we can't blow this building up again. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
We got 1 car, man. So we've had that before too, where you just gotta fucking ride it and do the best you can and trust your training.
I just love how, like, the idea of you going to a place and getting lit or lighting somebody on fire and then being like, okay, well, that's today. Let's go get dinner. I don't know. It's just like so fun to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of it is, afterwards, your adrenaline is just
jacked.
Spiked,
yeah.
Absolutely. And so when you're coming down, it's like that shared, what's the word? Not commiseration, but it's that shared
camaraderie.
Yeah, camaraderie. It's like, man, we
went through that together.
Fuck, we just lit 40 fucking people on fire in 4 hours. How the hell did we do that? We need a drink.
Yeah.
But then you share that bond, and then you share the bond of building it with other people and having, all these other established people come to you and say, hey, you guys got your shit together, you're professional. Like that's one of the
real
most rewarding things.
Yeah.
Is it's recognized. And I don't need a fucking Oscar, to tell me that. Like, having people tell me that is like, that's the win.
Well, and you said it before, like, nobody that you've messed with has been seriously injured.
Yeah.
Like, what we're doing here is repeatable and safe, and that's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah. And a big point of pride of, knowing that things can go wrong, but also knowing that we've set enough safety valves in place that nothing has gone wrong. It's kind of a cool feeling too.
Yeah, man, that's really part of the pride. I want to make sure that we spend at least a little bit of time talking about your IMDb page.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
put down a towel, because I don't know if you knew this or not, but you're known for an episode of The Bear.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God. Everyone, this is Will's IMDb page.
Oh man.
With some legitimate credits. And I was wondering, I was hoping that you would be on these shows, because I would see all the ads for him and I would be like, oh yeah, he's got to be on that. There's no way he's not involved in that show.
Those are, the Chicago One series is what they're calling them. But those are, for Chicago, is that's the bread and butter,
Yeah.
and has been for the last 10 years. It's been an absolute just pleasure and fortune that, like, I'm so grateful these shows were here. It's the reason I got into the union. It's the reason I got into, gave me the ability to get into the industry. It's absolutely incredible. My first professional gig, stunt gig, was on Chicago Fire. They had I was doubling a character in the start of the episode. They do their sizzle scene before the title credit.
Right.
And kid was making drugs in his freezer in his basement or some shit. I don't know. Extracting
however kids make drugs these days, whatever.
Yeah. But so they come down and they're reading the gas levels. They're like, it's got to blow. And the freezer just blows up, and firefighter tackles me. Fireball goes over us, and freezer door blows out over us. And so that was my introduction to stunt professionally. So
that's fucking sick.
Those shows have done so much for a lot of people here. It's awesome to have them. But then, yeah, I've gotten to do some other goofy shit and fun shit that's more specialized and fun stuff.
What was the bear? Was it a fight scene? Was there somebody on fire? Did I miss practical effects? Somebody on fire in a bear scene? So
yeah, fire is my specialty. That's what our company is. But I'm also just a utility stunt guy. I fall, I drive, I fight. So it's really about being that adaptable, that moldable. For the bear, it was the pilot episode, first episode.
Oh my God.
And they do their ball breaker video game tournament.
Yeah, I remember.
So they send the text out and all these. I forget what he calls them. He doesn't call them beta cuts, but he calls them like something, whatever Richie calls them.
Yeah.
Anyway, all these extras. So it's like 40 extras, all dressed goofily. But then the coordinator, awesome guy, Christian, like you, coordinator was able to hire 10 stunt guys. So it's basically, it was one of the best days of work of my life. It was going to work with 10 of your buddies, dressing up in absolutely ridiculous costumes as characters of this video game. So, we had an evil carrot, we had a robot, we had a shark man, we had all sorts of shit. I was dirty businessman from a dumpster with a bag on his head.
Amazing.
With my sledgehammer, which I think there was a picture of it on the IMDb. But so basically, Jeremy Allen White comes out and is trying to control the crowd, and we start this scuffle around him. And so we have to look like we're fighting each other, but not hit him at all.
This one right here?
Yep. That's old Bagman, trash Bagman.
That's fucking incredible, dude.
Yeah. And so, it was a great day. We just got to goof around and be obnoxious and yell stupid shit. We were chanting ball breakers at the top of our lungs in downtown Chicago. It was a cool day.
Would you say that's like the coolest day that you've ever had on a set? Or are there other experiences that are comparable?
I've had a lot of been fortunate to have a lot of great opportunities and fun times. But that really was, I think, one of the coolest days because of that fact that it was, with a bunch of your buds, and you're just like, it wasn't serious. Like, we didn't have to take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Still being professional, but like, okay, you want us to go over the top?
Well, that's what we do.
We'll go over the top.
We'll do that, yeah.
Like, we were like humping the window. We were like, I was like ejaculating the sledgehammer, all sorts of shit. And the director comes out and, like, all the extras around are like,
yeah, right.
The director comes out and looks at the stunt guys and goes, "You guys are awesome. That's great. All you guys, come on, hey, pick it up." So it was fun to have that those reins let loose a little bit,
Well, it's also cool too because, like, you were literally on the first episode, so you had no idea what that show was. There was like
idea.
there was no prestige about it at all. It was just like show up to this random set.
And that's the one of the funny parts too is, when people see that credit, they go, "Oh my God, Bear! We're like you did," and it's like, we didn't know, man. It was the one day, and we had a fucking lot of fun, and it was just one of those one-off days that you don't forget.
Fucking legendary. And I mean, now that the show has gone to do what it's done, like you're part of the pilot episode. Like you're part of the pilot episode of that show. It's fucking cool, man.
It's pretty cool.
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make sure that I ask you this too before I get too far down the rabbit hole. We had talked a little bit before about visual effects, the waning of the use of practical effects to many people of our generation's chagrin. But I'm interested in like what your thoughts on like AI movies using like. You're a part of this show, but now what if they want to do something with these people again and it's all AI simulated? I don't know. There's like some really heady point that I could make there, but I just can't formulate it, but maybe you know what I'm trying to say.
I kind of get the gist of where you're headed there. And in fact, that was one of the major tenets of the SAG strike last year was the use of AI. Yeah. And that at that time of those contract negotiations, there were no explicit written protections for performers, preventing producers from doing exactly what you're talking about. Now, body scans have existed for a long time already.
Sure. Yeah.
CGI, like computer generated imaging, has come so far so fast, and that isn't something that we're unfamiliar with. However, with the advent of AI into that realm, and you've already seen it happen with voice actors, and like I think Scarlett Johansson had a suit of litigation of this sounds like my voice, whatever. But all that to say, it's happening. It's going to happen. And it's not, I don't believe that it's as doom and gloom as people want to make it out of. Like,
I'd agree with you.
AI
I'd agree with you there.
Our job. No, man. Like, the Screen Actors Guild didn't want television to be covered. Like before they merged with AFTRA, it was all just movie actors. And they're like, no, we don't want this. It's going to take our job. It's this. Then they didn't want cable TV because network TV was going to die. And it's just the growth of technology and content changing. It's you have to adapt or get left behind. So what I think, and again, this is, it can go 8 million different ways, but what I foresee happening is a lot more higher budget, bigger, more encompassing things with, hundreds of extras, and like you're not going to see the Game of Thrones dragon lighting 47 people on fire, whatever the number was, like in reality. Like I think you will start seeing less of that just in relation to stunts. And like, driving you still might get. I think AI is going to take a little bit longer to get to that level of recreating these complex scenes, because it looks different. You can tell, and I think it's still going to take a while for it to get to that point. But even to our point with fire, I think having AI generate fire is not going to be any different than trying to computer generate it right now. It's a niche thing what I do think will happen is that commercially and theatrically, I think you will start to see fewer and fewer practical stunts in television and movies. But I think, you know, the industry will evolve and grow. You'll have your commercial, you know, releases that may be generated or not. I do think we will, in our lifetime, we'll see the first completely AI generated
For
film.
sure. We will for
100%.
sure see that. Yeah.
And that'll just be an option, you know, and who knows? People may not like it. At the end of the day, it's about what sells and what is going to bring in money. People might not like it. People, you know, and there's always going to be the nefarious actors that are like trying to pass it off and trying to, you know, game the system. Sure. But I think at the end of the day, if creators stay honest with what they're doing and then what they're using these images for, I don't necessarily see it as a pure evil. I see it as a technology evolution that we'll just have to pivot and adapt with. And the other side of that commercial tree is there's always going to be artists and humans that want to create these things. So that may be the realm where, you know, practical effects and stunts and that stuff lands, you know?
Well, and I think, yeah, we're experiencing like AI craze. Everyone wants to see AI everything, but at some point, it's the novelty is going to wear off. At some point, it's going to become boring, and the whole strictly
like
AI. Yeah, same kind of thing. Just let me check my farm. Let me check my farm.
Yeah, hold on. Wait, yeah, can we pause?
But it's like it's one of those things where, like, you know, and it makes total sense. The Writers Guild, they were getting destroyed. They're getting destroyed because guess what AI came for first? Text. That's how it started, right? And then it started to, for sure. It started to move in on images, and then, like you were saying, voiceovers. There was like, I was watching some dumb shit today on the news where there's like this, I mean, it could have actually been a covert ad for Coca-Cola now that I'm thinking about it, but they had a news thing about the first holiday Coca-Cola commercial that was made entirely using AI.
Oh, really?
And there's some people that are like losing their fucking mind over it. And again, this novelty is going to wear off. Ultimately, even the best AI requires a human to steer it. That's just how they're designed. That the human has to steer it. We have to feed it. We have to feed the LLM data for it to be able to generate whatever it's trying to generate.
Like there has to be a starting point, a seed.
Right. And I know I've got a bunch of friends who are into visual effects, and some of them use AI as a part of their workflow. But I know people who just use it just for creation. They'll throw a couple prompts just to get some visual cues, and then they end up, something sparks their creativity, and then they go and build it themselves.
Yeah, so that line gets blurred. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tool. I mean, it's the same thing with even modern visual effects. Like if you look at video pre-viz, like pre-visual effects, anything, the only successful times I've seen people do like visual effects fire is when it's in combination with a practical burn. Like there's a light practical burn on somebody that you capture in the camera, and then you go into After Effects and add flames to it and make it look like it's this fucking crazy thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's an addition. It's never replacing the thing entirely because it'll never sync up.
It'll never be the same. It'll never hold up. So, you know, I and in music, like in the music industry, that was all, even when I was going to school, my teachers were like, this industry's done. You chose the wrong degree. It was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah. And yet here we are.
Your professor said too.
Yeah, no, again, that's people said the same thing when digital cameras came around. Everyone was all pissed off about how are we going to look at films again. And I'll tell you this much right now. It's the same thing with music. I would rather hear a digital file now. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, 8mm film looked the best. I'd rather see emulated 8mm digital film that was filmed with like a really nice digital camera, period. And most people would. Most people were not going backwards in our desire for higher resolution.
But to that point, there's still
a place for it.
A place for it, yeah. There's still showings of 35 millimeter movies and 70 millimeter movies that there is. Yes, it's not the norm anymore, but it hasn't been.
There's still a place for it.
Decades.
Yeah.
But there's still a respect for it and an appreciation for its historical value. It's same. I mean, probably similar to like, the fucking hipsters that go, "Oh, it only sounds good on vinyl, man."
Oh yeah,
like,
direct correlation right there, buddy.
Yeah, it's like, well, to you maybe, but you're just trying to.
Well, but and when I was in Nashville, it was like the vinyl. Jack White was just redefining vinyl. He bought United Record Press and had Third Man Records, and the Black Keys and the White Stripes were both there, and even all the engineers that I would come into contact with, they were all like the people who were like, it's got to be all analog. I want all analog gear, except for when I put it into Pro Tools so I can upload the file to the internet. Like all that work for what?
When I distribute it.
Yeah, right. It's like comical. Again, like I've always loved looking at people in whatever art form, however they're creatively expressing themselves, that like find the creative ways to mesh the two worlds. And it's also kind of like that saying, like, you got to know the rules before you can break them. Like, you got to know the rules before you can break them. If you understand the fundamentals of capturing an image, doesn't matter if you're doing it on analog film or in a digital camera. It's just which flavor is most relevant for the story that I'm trying to tell.
Exactly. It's what is going to most efficiently, not even efficiently, but what is going to be the best catalyst to tell a story. Catalyst might have been a funny choice of words, but
R.I.P. Knickerbockers. R.I.P. Knickerbockers. That's a great place.
But yeah, no, it's that idea of it's easy to get wrapped up in the new stuff. It's easy to get wrapped up in the cutting edge and the fear of, if I don't adapt, I'll get passed by. But also understanding, like, at the end of the day, you're still an artist. So it still has to come from that human need for art.
To create,
to create and to see creation, or to experience creation.
Yeah.
However you do. It isn't just, believe me, I don't do this just to make money. I don't make a lot of it. When it's good, it's good, but it's also it's just this undying flame of I just gotta do. I have to do it. I just have to keep doing it. Somehow, some way, I need that outlet. And I think that'll never go away. AI.
Yeah, that's not changing
Skynet
shit.
Can't kill that, man.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's true. I've said it a million times on this fucking podcast. Prime example. Like, I don't do this for money. I'm not doing this podcast for money. I can guarantee you that. I do this shit because I have to create, and it's just an easy way for me to create something, have something that I've created every week.
That's awesome. And I think that's incredible. As you've been talking about, it's been fun to see, my journey. It's like, I've seen a few, nuggets of yours as well, and it's fucking awesome, man.
Well, thank you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just trying, this is shit that, like, I got kicked out of so many parties for, like, having the weird conversation. Enough of my friends were finally just like, dude, just start a podcast. And I enjoy it. And again, like, getting to speak with people in detail about stuff that I don't normally get to talk about. Why would I not want to do that?
Yeah.
There's like the joke that anything, even if you love it, I'm not a fan of the idea that when you love something, you never work a day in your life. That to me is bullshit, because you work, especially on the things that you love and you care about.
Yeah.
That's like where the majority of my emotional and a lot of my physical attention goes.
Yeah.
And again, it's not for money.
You grind for it. You grind for it. You weather storms for it. You
eat shit for it sometimes. Primo, yeah, it's real.
To the top.
It's not, and it kind of dovetails with like no success is overnight, but
that right there is like so often in our industry, is, you see the stories you see a lot are the ones that are like, oh, Harrison Ford was a carpenter and now he's Han Solo. Like, yeah, that happens, but I guarantee you that is less than 0.01%.
Right.
There is an element of the theater professor saying, if you want to make money, don't do this. That is true. Sure. That warning is valid because it is a slog. It is a grind. I've been doing this. I would call myself a professional stunt performer at this point.
Oh, dude, you've definitely crossed that lexicon.
Well, but I haven't. I wouldn't have called myself that 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's that honesty of knowing, and you always keep learning, but knowing that it's going to take time, and if you have the emotional and mental and physical fortitude, you will get there. Anyone can get there. But what happens more often than not is that people try and really grind and give it their all, and 3 years go by and they haven't worked, or they're not in the union yet, or this or that or the other thing, and they pivot because, whatever reason, they have to make money. I get it, absolutely. We all have to eat. We all have to pay bills. But you start to naturally see the people that just, doesn't matter what's going on in life, doesn't matter what's happening, it's just show up. They keep going. Not expecting, I never expected, like, showing up alone doesn't necessarily get it.
Definitely not.
Like, that's half the battle. Yeah, sure, you got to show up. But then it's the other stuff. It's the motivation. It's the doing it when you don't want to do it. Like getting up and, having that personal discipline, which we all work on. It's all of the days of, I don't want to record a podcast today or whatever it may be. But having that discipline of, it will help me down the road. Like this company, even, the Sweet Spot of the Flame, like we've kept our price point so low, of what we charge people to do these workshops, because we want it to be accessible for the stunt community. And, when people weren't working and aren't working, we can't ethically,
milk them for every penny they have.
Exactly. Now, going down and meeting other contacts and finding other sources of income and revenue, that it's like, you want to light your arm on fire for a once in a lifetime thing, and we'll bring all the stuff.
Buddy.
We can do that, and we will charge you a lot of money to do that. So that's the hustle of it, the salesmanship of it. But we wouldn't be able to be in that position if we hadn't done all these other workshops and done these things on our own and done all this work, that we are not getting paid for, like that we're not, maybe we make $50 or $100 from a workshop, but it is, if you can have that foresight and the patience that down the road, it will lead to more opportunity, I think anyone can be successful.
Those are all, I 100% agree with all those points, and I feel like there's this, like, I've straight up got jobs in the event production industry because I was from Nebraska. Like, seriously, they see my area code and they'd be like, "Oh shit, you know how to work, huh? Well, here, we'll put you to work." But like, I feel like there's definitely.
Did they think you were from a farm?
No, they could tell. They could tell that I wasn't from a farm. But there's like a hardness, dude. Like, I had to shovel my driveway so that I could get to school. Like, that was just the thing that I detasseled. Did you detassel? Did you do that at any point in the summer?
One summer.
Me too. I did one 2-week stretch, but it paid for my bass amp, and that was an important thing for me at that point. And you know, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely an element of the Nebraska work ethic that we have taken. I mean, even out in LA, there's a lot of Nebraskans out in LA, as I'm sure you're aware. They literally have an organization called the Nebraska Coast Connection. Have you heard about that?
I have not.
Dude, it's like literally a Nebraska club in fucking LA, and it's all people who have like come out from Nebraska to pursue a film career, TV career in California.
Wow.
But I don't know, there's just like something special about that, and the fact that we were under the tutelage for literally a United States Teacher of the Year. Like the formative years, you know. Shout out to Miss Kojons right now, but just
Mama
literally, she literally won. She was awarded the Teacher of the Year by President George Bush. She actually won that award. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like, there are a lot of those lessons that I learned working with her, like I feel like those are the things that actually give me the advantage in whatever I'm doing.
Absolutely.
And it's, centering around what you're talking about, like showing up, making sure you show up, making sure regardless of what you got going on, you put your best foot forward, and you stand on your work. I do good work. I'll stand on my work. I'll speak to my work, period.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I feel like I don't even want shit if it's going to be easy anymore. I only want hard things. Because what's the point? If it's easy and anyone can do it and I can do it with little effort, why do it? I only want to do hard things that take a long period of time. And I've kind of always been that way, but I don't know. To me,
gratification is worth.
Dude, that's the reward. I can't. It's not. I can't be proud of myself if it took no effort to achieve something. I'm proud of myself when it takes a lot of effort to achieve something and I was able to achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's I think there's also an innate sense of humbleness. I think that comes also from, that Midwest work ethic.
For sure.
You're not you're never braggadocious. You never there are big personalities still, and I will say yes I'm one of them. It's an element that you kind of have to unfortunately sell yourself. Like that's part of this business too, and then that's the business side of it that I always struggle with, is fighting that little Nebraska kid saying,
"Oh,
hey,
I'm not shit. I'm not shit. Don't
exactly."
Yeah,
and I get it, but at a certain point, you have to fight past that and go, like you said, like stand on your shit, own your shit, and be proud of it. And that's been its own growth cycle of actually taking a step back and going, oh, I'm not up and coming anymore. Like I am
here. I have arrived.
Here.
Yeah.
What do I do now? Like that's kind of the scary part sometimes too, is when you set these goals, right, that seem not unattainable, but like pretty big. Like I'll never forget one of my biggest goals was like, I'm going to join the union. I'm going to join SAG. I'm going to be a SAG stunt performer. And I've been a card carrying member for 4 years now, coming up on 5 years. And that's insane to me.
That's fucking
like,
awesome, dude.
But then it's like, what? Okay, well, what? I need a next thing. I need a next, you know, because, you know, there's that fear that you plateau or you level out, and then it's, nothing's happening, or you get comfortable or you get complacent. And we try to remind ourselves that all the time in this fire business and in our team, is that we've done it so much that we take it for granted. We take for granted the fact that this isn't normal. It's not normal to be on a shuttle from the airport in Dallas going to get our rental car, and two ladies across go, "What are you doing?" We're like, "What are you guys in town for?" We go, "Oh yeah, we're in town for work. He's gonna light me on fire." What?
Bless your heart. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's like, oh my god, like, yeah, it's not normal. So like taking that step back and recognizing that we are so fortunate to be able to do this and to say that this is our job. Oh, one of our jobs. We all have many jobs, but
sure.
And it, you know, that goes back to the work ethic thing too. Of course, if this was the only thing I could do and make a living doing it all the time, that's the ideal. But it's, no, man, I work at a hardware store. I work for a moving company.
Yep.
You piece it together for as
make
long
it
as
work.
you need to.
Yeah.
And figure out ways to make it happen. So.
Well, I love that, dude. I love, again, looking to see your whole journey has been awesome, but I love where you're headed with all this, and just to see, again, like the long form, you know, you were talking about this for a long time, and to see all the stuff that you've been patiently putting together kind of like culminate. Mm-hmm. It's just been really cool. And of course I want to thank you for coming on the show and talking to us. And I'm just going to plant a seed in your mind. At some point, having you and the guys on the show to do a live on podcast burn. Yeah, absolutely. Just going to plant that seed. We can maybe toy around with how the logistics of that would work, but I think that would be fucking sick. And honestly, I'm not even opposed to coming out to Chicago, but maybe we can like time it when you guys are doing a workshop or something, and I can just kind of document from the sidelines. That's kind of been a thing that we've, you know, been fortunate to be able to grow over the last, dude, honestly, this last fall is when we really stepped out, from just Chicago and Atlanta. Like Atlanta was our first major market that we moved to set something up. But this fall we were in Virginia, then we went back here to Chicago, then we went down to Atlanta, over to LA, up to Seattle, down to Texas. Like a lot of jumping. It's been a busy fall, which has been awesome, been fortunate, but it's given us the opportunity to make these new connections of whenever we want to do a workshop in LA, we have a place, we have someone who's excited to do it, and a bunch of people out there that are like, yeah, come back. So like that's, you know, kind of, an insane thing that like people are validating what we're doing just by our work. And it's, you know, you don't have to wait for the opportunity. We're making our own. And I think that's awesome. And so absolutely. Whenever we're
in your neck of the woods.
We can scheme it. It doesn't have to happen next weekend, but we can scheme on that because ultimately I want to get some video of someone getting lit on fire. I think that would just be sick. Yeah. And you're literally the specialist, so.
Well, and if that's, I mean, I don't know if that's in your
light me on fire. Light me on fire, buddy.
Yeah, if you want your,
I'm definitely
down. You want to light you on fire on your podcast? We can make that happen.
It'd be fucking sick, dude. Me doing the whole podcast lit on fire? Come on, dude.
Now, I mean, I'm looking at the timer right now. We're about 1:39, 1:40.
I would be crispy bacon. Yeah.
You would. Yeah, that would be. But no, absolutely. We could definitely, definitely make that happen. No problem.
Love that. Well, Will, thank you again. I want you to take a moment to give people, give yourself a shout out where people can check stuff out. Any link that I showed, your IMDb, your Instagram, or Sweet Spot of the Flames website, I'll have those in the description. But this is your time.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I was a little not nervous, but didn't know what to expect. But no, this was great. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool to really get to talk more in depth about what we do and how we do it. And I'm local stunt man in Chicago, but will travel. So if there's any coordinators watching this, hit me up. But yeah, our company again, Sweet Spot of the Flame. This is our little logo here.
Sick.
So yeah, super rad, dude. But sweetspotoftheflame.com. Also follow us on Instagram, Sweet Spot of the Flame. If anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, Stuntboy90. That's me, baby. And yeah, I could go on and on about all the other performers and mentors and people that have got me to the place I am. But that's a conversation for another podcast, I guess.
Well, yeah, so we'll just do another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. If you want to get lit on fire, go talk to Will Bennett. That is all. We'll catch you on the next time, folks.
This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. The end. With your host, James Oliva. Executive producers, Clint G and James Oliva. That's obnoxious. Sound design, mix, and master by James Oliva. Literally no one cares. For more Totally Legitimate Business, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Totally Legitimate Business or add us on TikTok at TLBpod. When will this end? Thank you for listening. Now get back to work. Move it along, buddy.